Welcome back to our podcast previewing the Rapid Fire tournament on Saturday, 12 noon, Rapid Fire Arena. I know you're all excited for that. We are. And that music can, of course, only mean one person is here in the studio with us, the captain of Team White, four-time Knowles Cup champion. He'll be going for 75 goals in this tournament, and he'll be going for a ring for his thumb. Sean Saphire, captain of Team White. Welcome into the studio, Sean.
Being here.
Oh, thanks. I forgot to turn your microphone on there for a second. But
Thank you for having me.
that's right. Everybody still heard you, though.
Sure.
So, Sean, we brought you in to talk about not only Team White, but we're also going to talk about the other teams in the tournament, if that's okay. We know that this tournament was yours and the now banned John Filkowski's brainchild. And it's now almost 20 tournaments old. It's 7 years old. And how do you feel that the Rapid Fire tournament, how do you feel about the way that it's progressed at this point?
I mean, there's been a natural evolution. You go from, as much Phil's idea as it was mine, but just the evolution of it is the players, and the players having the passion for it that we wanted to see from the start, and, having the Beatties and the Rocks and the Perublevs 7 years later, and adding on, your Will Estes who's played in 10 straight. Your guy Eddie Barbieri. Eddie Barbieri hasn't missed a tournament since Rapid Fire 5. I mean, it's amazing to see that the dedication in the players is what makes this tournament great.
And you've only missed one because of a broken arm, correct?
Yep, Rapid Fire 12, and that was the first one that Beattie, Rock, and myself had missed. We had started 11 for 11 until that point. So, it is what it is mainly. So.
Very good. And, of course, a year ago at this time, you also came up with the idea to start a draft, which, of course, was implemented after Brian Logan and Eddie Barbieri, they finally won that elusive championship that they had not been able to do. They had been choking. Now, of course, Devin McDonald is the resident choke artist of Rapid Fire. Wait, what's that? Devin, you fell in the shootout? Oh, okay.
That's mean. That's mean. It's Devin. I mean, it's just on a quick side note there. It's like Devin is the Chicago Cubs of the Rapid Fire tournaments. I mean, he's gone 7 straight without a finals appearance, and that's very hard to do. And that's no disrespect to Devin, because he's, had some tough losses in that streak. But, when we got to answer your question, we got to the point of a couple of years ago, this is even before Logan had won, we had discussed that we wanted to do a draft, and that was Beattie and myself were trying to push for it. But we needed Logan to win, have that be the closure to that part of the tournament's history. And Beattie and I had spent a while trying to invent a pretty foolproof system, and so far 3 drafts in, this has been it. And I think this tournament, with the depth we had, you really were able to see balance that we've never had in a tournament before. I mean, you could say bad things about any team and good things about any team, but there are teams that, all the teams here, you can easily see winning. And I don't remember a tournament in the past where you can easily see all 4 teams being this competitive. They're completely different, but it's going to be very interesting to see how it all shakes out on Saturday.
Sean Saphire with us on the Rapid Fire preview. Of course, this hour of Hockey Talk brought to you by Vitarain. It's not Gatorade. It's better. So, Sean... So, Sean, what was I know we spoke before the draft, and you said you were waiting to see where Sean Rock felt to determine your draft strategy. So, when Rock went to Team Red for that ridiculous amount of money, the record-breaking $30, how did your draft strategy reset?
Well, I went in with a strategy that, the previous 2 tournaments I'd went in with a specific strategy, and I also knew realistically that in the first draft, my advantage of knowing the player clientele better than anyone else, I wasn't going to be better at that than at that point, because everyone was going to catch up to me. This draft, with all the talent, I wanted to see a lot of the talent go early and see where all the chips fell. And when Rock went in the first round, and I brought him up with the last pick of the first round, and when he jumped right to 30, I knew I had a shot to do what I wanted, and that was get really good value in the second and third tiers. And being able to essentially, for less than half my cap, for 44 of my $100, to get Brian Logan, former MVP, Robbie Crowley, former MVP. And
Robbie Crowley, not to interrupt, but you and Robbie Crowley have had a very good history together. You guys have won in the past, and you guys have clicked before. So I thought that was a very good draft pick for you.
Well, I mean, he's one guy I've always wanted. Obviously, he wasn't in the last tournament because of college issues being down in North Carolina, but In the first draft, I mean, I just couldn't pay the money that Logan had paid for him, or I'm sorry, that Devin had paid for him. But I mean, getting those two and getting Tex Farrelly and already having Dougie, I mean, I had a group of guys that I know play well together and really go in with the whole, team first kind of effort. They're going to sacrifice for the common good, and you can't shortchange the importance of having that in these tournaments.
Now, your worst forward. I mean, there's just some great. I'm not. Let's not say worst because they're all good, but you probably have the best depth in the tournament as far as offense goes, with Frank Giuliano as your number 5 forward, and then you're pretty set there, and your defense. Your defense, people might say it's your weak spot, but I disagree. I unfortunately think your goaltending is the weak spot because Derek LeBoux has improved his game a great deal. Derek LeBoux, by the way, has joined Steve Edwards and James Leonard in the famed Dollar Menu Nair Club. So just congratulations to those guys.
Very good guys. I was able to, after getting Tommy Lyon, I'm getting one of the better defensemen in the tournament. I essentially have 2 number 1 defensemen in, Tex Farrelly and Tommy Lye. I had $9 left, and you can't do better with $9 than Steve Cavallari, one of the most underrated, just physical, fast, all well-rounded players in the game. Frank Giuliano, who just has a nose for the net. I mean, would I have rather had a proven tournament commodity like a Richie Spears or a Sean Daniels there? Of course. It wasn't the case. And Derek LeBoux, listen, if I'm getting Derek LeBoux for $1, I'm doing all right. He's going to be a really good asset to have, and I can put him with Tommy Lye and Tex Farrelly, and it makes them more aggressive, and that's a big positive for us. Finally,
your goaltender, Ryan O'Brien, he hasn't... I don't have this in front of me. When was the last time he played in a tournament?
Ryan O'Brien's last tournament was Rapid Fire 9, and... the thing is, everyone's so worried about...
10 tournaments ago, folks.
Right, and Ryan hasn't played in a tournament level, but he's played with us, and he's been around. He hasn't completely lost the game. But if you look at his career stats, they're better than every goalie in this tournament except for Estes, and they're very close to Estes' stats. His wins aren't there, but he's played on some really bad teams. He's played on some bad team Reds back in the 05 and 06 era. I mean, I really love this team. I think it's my type of team. A lot of well-rounded players. And you know what? I've never been a number 4 forward. I have 3 MVPs on offense in front of me. And Kuvek, Rapid Fire 12, Logan, Rapid Fire 16, and Crowley, Rapid Fire 13. It doesn't get better than that. And while there's a lot of other talent in this tournament, I'm very confident in White. If Ryan O'Brien is able to just play his game, and we don't need more than an average tournament from him. We have all the other personnel to fit. And I think it's going to be a very interesting tournament. We're going to be a tough out.
We have a few minutes left here on this session. Sean, getting away from your team for a minute, do you? If I had a gun to your head, besides Team White, who do you think has the best shot at winning it all?
Blue. I think Devin had a little bit of a deer in headlights look when he wasn't able to get Rock, and people can say he overpaid for Estes compared to George, and I still think Estes is the top goalie in this tournament. I mean, he's in the best shape he's been in years. He's looking fantastic. I mean. It's hard to pay 28 in this tournament for a goaltender, but you got to make the play. But after he was able to get Longo, who was the second best skater in this tournament behind Rock, or in the draft pool rather, he got maximum value. I mean, you get guys like Daniels and Storch for $3 each. That's a steal. Amendola is a good number 1 defenseman. Jeff Byer is a power play specialist who backchecks hard, and Jimmy Nierowitz, he's going to fall in line with Longo. I think if Devin was going to anchor his offense around him, it would be dangerous, but there's enough around to give him leadership support that won't be an issue. And I think, Nierowitz, I know, has been battling the shoulder injuries, but at 80%, he's still one of the 5 best offensive players in this tournament. Him, Longo, Amendola, Devin, it doesn't get more dangerous than that. And with Estes playing at the top of his game, I'm not discounting red and black at all. They both had good draft strategies, but blue scares me the most.
Now, from good to bad, who do you think not only had the worst draft, but who do you think will be our 4th place team on Saturday?
It's very tough because you don't want to pick any team to be 4th place because they all could win, and I'm not shortchanging that fact.
Gun to your head.
Red, because Red's depth, they're a 2-trick pony. They're riding a goaltender who's due to be, and I know George has really backed his game up in the last 6 months. Can't say enough about him being overdue. They're a 1-trick pony with Sean Rock. They have good depth at forwards, but is Jay Simlin going to have a 10-point tournament playing with Rock? That remains to be seen. They have an okay defense, but they have a slow defense. it's an interesting set of circumstances. Valena did the best he could after getting his star power. I would put them fourth right now.
Last thing, we talked before, and you think it's going to be yourself and Team Blue in the finals. Who do you think leads the tournament in scoring? Who do you think could be our MVP?
To lead it's tough because Rock really doesn't have much to work with, even though Valena and Simmelin and even Durkin are going to be feeding him the puck all day. So I think Rock will lead in goals. I think Beattie will lead in points. And I think, gun to my head, if I want to be completely take my team out of it, Richie Longo is your MVP. And
there you have
Blue,
it.
And I say Team Blue will break the curse of Devin McDonald.
There you have it. Sean Saphire picking Team Blue. Team Blue to win the Knowles Cup. Devin, wow, Devin. That is some lofty expectations. The captain himself has picked you to win it all. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Saphire, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Zach.
Today
Pleasure
we'll
to be
see
here.
you. We'll see you Saturday, 12 noon, Rapid Fire 19.
And boom goes the dynamite.
We will be back with a sports update in a minute and our last segment with the great Steve Edwards right after this.
McDonald's is a big fan of the Rapid Fire tournaments, and in honor of Rapid Fire 19, you can celebrate the new additions to the McDonald's Dollar Menu, starting with a warm, juicy James Ward for $1, the double James Leonard for $2, and of course the Doug Kuvek 22 times the beef for $22. McDonald's, now serving Vitarain. Have you had your break today?